The New York Jets just made a sneaky signing, picking up a cornerback that no one had on their radar. Darren Muji continues to cook, and we have to break it all down. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Jets Football 365. If you're a New York Jet fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But getting into the news for today, coming from Sports Illustrated, with the Jets on a short week, they're adding another veteran defensive back as a depth piece for the practice squad in 28-year-old Tre Brown, as shared by the team. The Jets have signed defensive back Tre Brown to the practice squad and released defensive back JT Woods. I've never heard of him. The Jets announced Brown, 5'10", 185, was a fourth-round draft selection of the Seahawks in 2021. The Oklahoma product spent 4 seasons in Seattle, appearing in 39 games, starting 13 of them, recording 74 tackles, 8 pass defenses, and 2 interceptions. Brown signed with the San Francisco 49ers in March, but was placed on injured reserve in August before being released with an injury settlement in September. So, stats on the screen, not the most impressive. Tre Brown, doesn't get the most playing time, but few guys that are being added to practice squads, few of them are getting playing time unless you're a running back, which Tre Brown is not. But taking a look at what his stats are looking like, tackles, best tackling season with 29 in 2023. As you heard me read off in the beginning, looking at his stats, he had 2 interceptions on his career, which is 2 more than the New York Jets have this season. So hopefully he can bring some interceptions to the New York Jets this year, should he get on the football field. Now, Darren Muji continues to do what he has done since he got here, which is bringing guys with low risks and high ceilings. He is not taking any risks right now. It is obvious that ever since Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji, they got here, first thing they did, cut Aaron Rodgers. They said, we're not, answering for the last regime's mistakes. We're not paying the last regime's guys. We're bringing in our own guys, which is why, unless you are a first-round draft pick, you are not safe on this roster. Even if you were a second-round draft pick from as recent as 2024, you're not safe on this roster. New general managers and head coaches, when they bring in a new regime, they want to bring in their own guys to do it. They don't want to, get the old toys from the other guy. And part of it is a pride thing, but most of it is a scheme fit. Aaron Glenn, the head coach, he's coming in and he has his own scheme in mind. He knows what him and his defensive coordinator Stephen Wilkes wants to play defensively, and he knows what his guys want to play offensively, and he needs players who are going to fit that scheme, and he's going to go draft players that fit that scheme, and he's going to get rid of players who don't fit that scheme. It's one of the reasons why the New York Jets decided to ship off Sauce Gardner. One of the big reasons is we got a Godfather offer in 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell to send him to the Indianapolis Colts. I know right now, when everyone has fun doing their PFF mock drafts, the Indianapolis Colts pick is always 32, and there's not great players there because the 2026 draft is garbage, and it's a late pick. And the Colts are projected to win the Super Bowl. But we have to remember the Colts aren't guaranteed to win the Super Bowl. That can very realistically be a defensive back that can not completely fill in the role that Sauce Gardner vacated, but he can fill in it could be someone who can make up a lot of what Sauce Gardner did. But looking at what we are cooking in the defensive back room, it's going to be a whole lot of new faces, with currently our 2 outside starting defensive backs are going to be Azariah Thomas and Brandon Stevens. I'm excited to see what Azariah Thomas has after being drafted in the 3rd round out of Florida State by us this season. He was someone who I didn't really have very highly on my draft radar going into the draft, but was interested to learn about him after it. When you are playing on a team like Florida State, who last season, I believe they only won 2 football games, that's not really a team that you take a very close look at and scout their guys really, really closely unless you have a real reason to, unless you got the time to do it and you're getting paid to do it, then you would go ahead and do it. But from what I can speak on, Azariah Thomas on film so far for the New York Jets has been an impressive rookie cornerback. He hasn't been perfect, which is understandable, but he made a couple good plays, highlighted to me by watching the film from the Jets-Browns game. There was a slant route by, not a wide receiver, but pretty much wide receiver in the form of a tight end, and Harold Fannin Jr. ran a slant route to the outside. Azariah Thomas was playing outside leverage, which means Azariah's right shoulder pad was lined up on the right shoulder pad of the receiver. So he was on the outside of the receiver, and it was an in-breaking route. It was a slant route. So Fannin faked outside and went in. Azareye'h Thomas, in theory, is at a huge disadvantage when you are to the outside and the guy runs inside. But he was able to make up the ground and make a good PBU, smack the ball down for an incompletion. That's something that is very, very good to see. We're going to be giving away a whole lot of PBUs with Sauce Gardner going out the door. He'd get a whole lot of interceptions, but he was really, really good at knocking the ball away and playing some very sticky coverage. And that's something that Azareye'h Thomas and new free agent acquisition Brandon Stephens are going to have to bring to the table. Stephens is another guy who is overperforming what the media was expecting him to be coming into the season. Everyone was talking about how, oh, Brandon Stephens is a holding merchant, how he's just tall, he can't do anything else. Brandon Stephens is a tall, rangy corner, which is the mold that Aaron Glenn is going to try to go out and find. That's the kind of cornerback that he likes. And Brandon Stephens, since week 2, has been one of Pro Football Focus's highest graded corners. And that's really, really great to see because Ravens fans cheered when the Jets took this guy off their hands. We signed him to a longer contract, which is something that we didn't do with other players. So this was, I talked about Darren Muji went low risk, high reward. Excuse me. This was a higher risk than a lot of the other signings because Brandon Stephens was 3 years on his contract instead of just 1. But so far, it's looking like Aaron Glenn had a plan. It's looking like Brandon Stephens is really, really looking like a big pickup for this team so far. Also, Jarvis Brownlee, the trade acquisition, someone, if you have been watching Jets football and don't know who number 29 is because you haven't seen him before, that's Jarvis Brownlee Jr., a guy we acquired in a trade from the Tennessee Titans a couple weeks ago. He's been ripping it up. Also another guy who's being graded highly and is playing really, really good football. This is a team that we need to go to the draft and maybe on day 2 or early day 3, got to draft one more cornerback, but this defensive back room, or specifically the corners, are a lot better and deeper than a whole lot of people give them credit for. Quantez Stiggers was drafted in the 5th round a couple years ago. He was the MVP of either the Canadian Football League or the UFL or something like that. He's someone who has, a lot of skill and a lot of talent, and he's not going to be a starting corner, but I do really, really like the depth to this defensive back room that Quantez Stiggers brings to the table. And now, if you've been watching my videos, I love Malachi Moore at the strong safety. We still need to get another better safety on top of Tony Adams. We can move Malachi Moore to free safety if the other safety that we add is a strong safety, but we got to figure out just one more safety in this room. Find a way to draft another cornerback. It can be the first round, but it doesn't have to be the first round because the starting boundary corners that we have right now are very good and people are really sleeping on them. I mean, we don't have a whole lot going for us, but we do have a significantly better cornerback room than a lot of people give us credit for, and it's something that Jet fans can be excited for going forwards. Now, this new acquisition currently on the the practice squad still. We're going to see if he's going to work his way onto the active roster. You would have to imagine, or what we do know is that Aaron Glenn is always going to play the best guys. He doesn't care how much you're being paid. So if the new guy is able to outplay other players on the practice squad, he's going to have the opportunity to work his way onto this depth chart for the New York Jets and maybe even into the starting lineup. Defensive back is a position where guys are getting hurt all the time, not with big time injuries, but just getting nicked up all the time. So you can never have too many defensive backs ready to go. Got to make sure we're staying deep there. And I really, really, really think that Darren Muji is leading this team in a good direction right now. And I know a lot of Jet fans are sad because we got rid of 2 fan favorite players. And yep, we did get rid of 2 fan favorite players, but it's going to be worth it if we can turn this thing around. Just got to get that quarterback position right, which are we going to get it right? The history says we won't, but I'm going to sit here and hopefully we do get it right. Hopefully we can get our hands on a fantastic quarterback in this upcoming draft. And I can't wait to see how it works out, but that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, appreciate you taking the time to watch the video all the way through. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Jets.